Hello, welcome to Hobby Chat with Adam's Hobby Stuff, where I sit, talk about some element of hobby that's on my mind at the moment, and then show you what I've spent my hobby money on recently. So today you can see the topic of the conversation is going to be 3D printed models again. So I did my first ever 3D printed model video a couple of weeks ago, where I bought and received my first 3D printed models, one of which was this thing that I've finished painting up here, which is a 3D printed Santa, part of the subject of last week's Hobby Chat video where I talked about novelty Warhammer. Really pleased with that one. I wasn't so pleased with the other models I got at the same time, which was for some scenery pieces. Two different ways of printing, one of them covered in lines, really not pleased with the quality, but the maker was insistent, that was perfectly fine. And the other one was unset resin and things, again from the same maker. And I asked the question of you guys listening, look, is this normal? Is this what I can expect? And got a resounding, no it isn't back. And I did say in that video I was going to order some more because I wasn't convinced that was normal. And this is, again, the more that I ordered. So those original models have now gone back. The badly printed and the slightly dodgy leaky resin ones, and look, it's an experience, a learning curve. There's going to be bad manufacturers out there, bad printers. I'm not going to name and shame, that's not what this channel is about, but I did order some more stuff which is here, so we'll talk about that, give an idea on thoughts, and I will name the maker of these because I asked permission to Woofu Workshop, who I got them from. Dropped him a DM on Instagram and said, look, are you alright if I mention you? I'm going to talk about these things, and then in the future I'm going to use this in a necromunda video. And he was quite happy for me to do that, obviously someone confident about the quality of the models. So let's pick up and have a look. Now I haven't assembled these are exactly as they arrived. And you know what, for someone who's used to obviously buying model kits like Workshop, Bolt Action, Airfix, that kind of thing, to have no assembly to do, or very, very little assembly, is a marvel. And compared to, say, for example, Forge World or resin models, to have what looks like very, very little cleanup to do is also a marvel. So what's my thoughts? I was obviously a little bit trepidatious about receiving these, given the poor experience I'd had from the scenery I printed before, but these are completely different. These are superb. I mean, yes, there's a couple of lines, but they are super faint compared to what I've seen before. The detail is really crisp. It's not overly heavy when you compare it to a resin kit. This kit was £45. This isn't quite the kit that you normally order. Instead of this, there normally comes like a gun unit, but I figured actually a carriage going on the underhive. This is going to be an underhive train, partly inspired by the computer game that I want to use and build into an necromunda scenery. I thought it'd be more appropriate I had to have these kind of water containers. And again, when I did DM him, I said, look, could you switch them out at all? Would that be okay? Get rid of the big gun and use these. And he was perfectly happy to do that. Lovely chap, Gray, as he calls himself. I'm not sure what his proper name is, probably should find that out. Graham, I'm assuming. And I was perfectly happy to switch these out. And you get some bits of track and things with the kit as well. And really, when I look around the quality of these, there are faint lines on all of them, but minimal cleaning up. Fairly crisp, fairly clean, lovely weight, lovely size, no obvious warping or moulding or any sort of issues like that. And you know what? I'm really, really pleased with the quality of this kit. And what's interesting, when you look at his site, he says he's an authorised printer. For the company that I imagine makes the STL files of these. And that makes me think that, to me, it must be the future when we think, why can't a company like Games Workshop do STL files for all the weird and wacky things that someone might want to do in Warhammer 40,000 or in Necromunda or in any of the game systems, you know, Carnival, which is something I've got my eye on at the moment. Why can't they produce STL files that they then authorise printers to print and sell to people? Or, maybe slightly more money, you can buy that STL file yourself from Games Workshop or whatever, with the caveat that you then don't sell it. When I look at the quality of these models and how just enjoyable they are to hold, really, and the value for money that I'm seeing in front of me here, I think this has got to be somewhere in the future of wargaming. Now, for me, although I'm really convinced actually by the quality of these and I think they're fantastic, still not inspiring me to buy my own printer yet, because I think 3D printing at the moment is a hobby in itself. I'm sure there's lots to learn, and I've got enough hobby projects and hobby time going on that I'm not convinced I personally want to learn how to do that currently. That doesn't mean, however, that I don't want to do it at some point. But I do think I could very well see myself picking up multiple 3D printed kits over the coming months and years, given that now I have a little bit more faith in 3D printing than I perhaps did before. Now, would I then buy a 3D printed Warhound Titan, for example, that Forge World had licensed to a 3D printing company, and they were printing them off, that cost me £150 instead of 400. Absolutely, of course I would. And I can't help but feel that would be the price difference. When I look at this at 45 quid, I can't help but think that done with resin from most other producers, workshop or whatever, this would knock in at 100 quid. And it was 45. And obviously there's profit in there for that person. Now, what the licensing rules would be around that is not for me to argue. However, from someone that was not entirely convinced by 3D printing, two very quick experiences, one really bad, one really good, I'm on board. I absolutely will be buying more 3D printed models. What I will be doing, however, is buying them from producers that I trust. So the little Santa I got was from a company called Epics and Stuff, so I copied that in before, following them on Instagram. And this is from Woofu Workshop, who again I'm following on Instagram and things I've touched. So I suppose my closing thoughts, on board with 3D printing. This is a lovely model. I've now got a trusted manufacturer that I'm going to go to and get some more stuff from. Absolutely, they've got a fantastic looking Hero Quest set that they're doing, dungeon tiles. I don't think I can resist that much longer. I'm sure I'll be picking that up when I get Hero Quest in the new year. Again, I've got that on order. So get yourself a trusted manufacturer, and I think the licensing element has got to be a way to go. And I think if Workshop don't wake up to that fairly soon, people are going to be printing Space Marines fake anyway. So I think it's better for them to get a little bit of money out of it than not at all. And you know, for people that don't want to do 3D printed stuff and want to buy the originals, those models will still be there. And to be honest, a little bit more quality, a little bit more customization. But for me, this is absolutely ideal for those subsystems and something Forge World should really be getting on board with. So that's the end of that kind of waffle. Yeah, on board with 3D printing. So what have I bought in the hobby this week? What have I been spending my hobby money on? I'll try not to move the train and have a look. More green stuff. A couple of big projects coming the way over the next couple of weeks. Very much necromunda vibe. I'm currently doing some stuff where I'm making my own homemade Zone Mortalis tiles, which is also why I've got a rivet maker from Green Stuff World. Now I've already used this. I popped this open. I've made my first few rivets, which will be coming up on a video on Sunday, but hopefully it will go well. Picked up some more milliput, so it's boring hobby stuff here, but this one of those things that I use constantly. Now I've bought the black this time. There's no difference in how it works, just that's what they had in stock when I went on and tried to order it. And some other pieces that I bought from my local hobby store is some 40k scenery, some conservators it's called here, a couple of little vehicles, and you get the armoured containers. Definitely on a necromunda vibe, and I'm going to be building these into some necromunda scenery. I've also picked up galvanic servo haulers. Lovely, lovely kit. I've got a real big plan to combine this piece in with the train kit we've bought, not directly linking, but it will be in the scenery and kind of linking in, because my vision for my necromunda scenery board that I'm going to be doing, roughly 3x3, only a small board, just some little missions, is going to be of kind of the necromundan train that runs through the Underhive, and this is going to be like the hub where they unload it, etc. And then I've bought some armoured containers. I'm going to finally jump on board what everyone else in the world has jumped on board, turning armoured containers into Underhive scenery and making like an ammo shop, maybe a workshop, that kind of thing. So expect to see that on the channel coming up fairly soon. Hope you like that hobby waffle. There'll be another hobby waffle next week. 3D printing convert right here, but it will be back to normal, building normal models and doing some scenery. So I hope you enjoyed that. Like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of YouTube jazz, and I'll see you on another video.